to 2K Sports for the latest presentation of our NBA basketball. Along with Steve Kerr, Clark Kellogg, and our sideline reporter Doris Burke, this is Kevin Harlan. Last outing for Orlando, they won that game against the Pistons in Detroit. And just one look at the score tells you all you need to know. They were dominant in just about every area.
That was a game in hostile territory, too, guys. And it seemed like they had confidence right from the beginning, unbothered by being on the road.
And, you know, their shots were falling. From the top to the bottom of that lineup, their guys were heated up.
Here are the five for the Clippers. Blake Griffin down low and DeAndre Jordan. Miller is out there with Paul, and it's Pierce in at the 3 slot.
You know, one story that didn't get a lot of press last season, 2 days after the Bledsoe trade had been given the go-ahead, the ownership tried to back out of it. The trade was already public news, and Doc Rivers actually threatened to quit before their ownership backed down.
Here's Harris. The Clippers getting the bucket. And Oladipo kicks to Payton. 6 on the shot clock. Elbow shot is on the way. And the shot clock expires. 24-second violation. Clippers with the ball. This game coming on the heels of their win against Chicago.
You know, so often in the NBA we talk about how you have to earn your points the hard way, but it didn't seem like that was the case. Everything came pretty easy.
Too many of their points came the easy way, Steve. You're right. On dunks and layups against the defense that didn't really put up much resistance.
Now here's Griffin, and it's the Clippers scoring again. And for J.J. Redick, that shakeup must have been tough. His contract with the Clippers was contingent on the trade.
And Kevin, reportedly, Doc Rivers leaned on ownership pretty hard, saying, hey, I shook hands on this. Don't make me look bad here. Our reputation's at stake. It all worked out, but a reminder of the Clippers' rather dysfunctional past.
Payton passes to Gordon. Ball against Payton. Now here is Harris. Defense is right there. Oladipo for 3. And it's out of bounds to the Magic as Orlando will retain possession. And just under 2.5 minutes elapsed here in the first. Clippers leading by 3. And I think Doris Burke has something for us right now. Doris?
Thank you, Kevin. The Magic head coach and I had a chance to talk just for a bit. He knows that the challenge for his team in this game will be to slow down Blake Griffin, whom he described as instant momentum. With Griffin being such a handful physically, they plan to limit his ability to get any space around the basket and hopefully cut down those powerful drives toward the rim.
And thanks for that story, Doris. Vucevic with the bucket.
That's a nice job of getting the ball in the paint and burying the shot. That's exactly how it's done.
And there's the whistle on the shot. Took the foul. Shot misses. He'll be shooting 2.
Well, you allow them to get right to the rim like that. That's your only option.
Yeah, I think you got to foul them, and free throws are better than a layup.
Both free throws good for Miller.
You know, the Magic are still clearly in the process of rebuilding, but sooner or later, and I think it'll be sooner, they'll be looking to get back into the playoffs with the kind of talent they've started to put out.
And it's Gordon missing. Clippers leading by 3. With the shot. And it falls over the rim and in.
It's going to be tough for the defense today. If he's got his A game rolling here tonight, we'll see.
Payton dishes to Oladipo. Here's Harris, and he banks in the lane. Harris has got 5 now.
You know, I think anytime the shot comes from that range, the offense has done its job and done it well.
Wasted no time on that one.
And the story of this game in the early stages is just how well they've been shooting the ball.
Steve, their percentage from the floor is really impressive up to this point.
Vucevic with the bucket.
Well, every once in a while, they show us some pretty good moves around the hoop. Nikola Vucevic, one of the best rebounders in the league at both ends of the floor, a rate that would put him top 10 over the full season.
And the Clippers decide to take their first time out here. And Vucevic, a key player for the Magic. He missed a number of games with a concussion midway through last season. And without him, they really struggled.
Yeah, it was a tough season for the team overall, but he's clearly making an impact for them because he gives you good effort at both ends, and he's more than capable as a scorer and rebound.
Here's Payton. Clippers able to drain the three. Harris buries it down low. Harris has got 7. Los Angeles leading by 5. Ball kicks to Griffin. And it's caught by Gordon. Good ball movement here by the Magic. Here's Vucevic. Shot is good off the back rim and in. Vucevic has got his 3rd basket of the night. Ball against Payton. Ball passes to Griffin. He dishes it to Miller. Shot's good. Griffin making the play. And that's 13 points for Jay.
They're going back to the three-point shot over and over and over.
That was the 9th straight point from behind the arc, Clark. It feels like they're finding the holes in this defense.
Back to Paul. It's stolen by Vucevic. Out to the right wing. Harris with it. And Griffin picks him up defensively. Payton against Jordan. Clock at 6. The Magic need to get a shot off here. Here's Vucevic. And again, it's Orlando converting.
These defenders look overmatched right now, especially inside.
Yeah, you look at the numbers. 10 of the last 12 points have come from close range, so I agree.
Oh, down there, man! And this sort of awesome dunk is one of the reasons this team is in charge of this game right now.
Clark, there is a swagger out here on the court that they possess and are not afraid to show it either.
That's right. Those are phenomenal dunks to watch. So much fun.
So a new group on the floor for Orlando. And Los Angeles will go for a different look here. Glenn Davis is checked in for Jordan. Johnson comes in for Blake Griffin. Lance Stevenson's checked in for Paul Pierce. And it's Crawford in for Miller. Now here's Paul. He had a 12-point outing in their last game against Chicago.
And they've set up countless buckets off assists. That's a huge part of what they've been doing here today.
A lot of dime dropping going on out there, Steve.
Paul against Rittenauer. 1:21 left in the first quarter. Near the three-point line, it's Gordon. The top of the key jumper is on the mark. Gordon's got his first 2 points of the night.
That was some skill there. Nice use of the bounce pass.
That's a 2 from Paul. And again, the Clippers good for 2.
I like the way they've played here in the first half. Just an intelligent floor game, getting good shots.
Numbers certainly back that up. They're shooting much better percentage.
Now, here's Rittenauer. Looking for his first basket still in this one. Fry, good.
Smart move with that mismatch he's got.
You know what? That extra advantage sure pays off on the mid-range jumper.
And it's O'Quinn with the rebound.
Oh, come on. You've got to get the 2 points there.
Gordon goes in. The feed now to Rittenauer. Back to Gordon. He kicks it to O'Quinn. And it's blocked by Johnson. Paul with the ball. He's got 6. Crawford dishes the ball. Johnson with a screen on Gordon. Gets it off. And that's not going to go. And now the second quarter just getting set to start. And before we move on, what do you guys think about what we've seen so far from the Clippers?
They set the tone there defensively with their shot blocking. They've been really intimidating down in the paint area.
You know, in the rest of the game, Steve, shooters will be looking around for the shot blockers because of what's happened in this quarter.
And now, brought to you by Gatorade, all fueled up and ready to go. Let's reset our lineups. So on the floor for us.
Man, that was unreal. Mark it up. Well, they weren't going to pass up that chance to get out and run following the steal.
They better not. They've got to pad their lead any time an opportunity presents itself. And I'll tell you what, that was a golden one there.
Well, this last season was the Clippers' 30th in Los Angeles. For a team that's long played in the Lakers' shadow, for the second season in a row, the Clippers were the best team in LA.
And for the Clippers, in their 30 years in LA, folks, only 6 times have they finished the regular season with a better winning percentage than the Lakers. Man, it's been domination by the Lakers out there in LA land. So Clipper fans are hoping that this is a sign of things to come going forward for their team.
Here's Fournier. coming off a stellar performance against Detroit. Nice concentration to hit the double clutch layup.
And with the defense playing that well, the double clutch was the only way he was going to get that ball.
And guys, for the Clippers, acquiring coach Doc Rivers from the Celtics in exchange for a draft pick. In Boston, he'd been the second longest tenured coach in the league after Greg Popovich.
You know, but rather than rebuild, I think he wanted to go for another ring in L.A. He's got a lot of authority, final say on personnel decisions. So Doc has really put his stamp on his team.
Ridnour kicks to Fournier. Passes to Ridnour. Lets the three fly. It's hauled in by Los Angeles. When this game is done, they'll be off to Miami to take on the Heat. And their journey is just getting started. That'll be the second of 7 straight on the road.
Might as well just take it into his own hands and make that big lead even bigger.
So Orlando going with an almost entirely new group. Vucevic checked in for Kyle O'Quinn. Harris comes in for Channing Frye. Oladipo, he's checked in for Evan Fournier. And it's Payton in for Luke Ridnour. Oladipo with the ball, and it's Aldridge picking him up. Oladipo, the pass to Harris. Oladipo dishes to Harris. Well-timed pass, and he goes straight to the bucket for the layup. Harris has got 9 points. Los Angeles leading by 8. Paul goes in, and so he earns a trip to the line. Officials saw the contact, and he'll shoot 2.
This ball is really a basketball jumper. He's not playing the game. He watches all the games. He has a wall of TVs in his home so he can follow multiple games at once. That is fanaticism. And he actually could be preparing for a job in the studio someday.
And the Clippers making a change here. Jordan, he's checked in for Aldridge. Griffin comes in for Glenn Davis. Paul Pierce is checked in for Johnson. And Miller is subbed in for Jamal Crawford. And let's now go to the sideline. We'll catch up here with Doris Burke. Doris?
Thank you, Kevin. Elfrid Payton has some very noticeable hair on the floor. He said the story behind it is as follows. Me and my teammates in high school agreed we wouldn't cut our hair the entire season until we won a state championship. We wound up losing in the semifinals, but I liked what it was doing and just let it keep growing and growing. Guys, will it ever end?
We'll see if it does. Thanks, Doris. And Nikola Vucevic is going to pick up the foul. That's foul number 2 for him. Gordon's checked in for Maurice Harris. As you guys know, as passionate as Chris Paul is about basketball, I read an interview where he said he might walk early to spend time with his kids.
Yeah, I mean, it can be tough missing those moments, but I don't know. Paul strikes me as a lifer. It wouldn't surprise me one day to see him coaching, once his playing days are gone.
Elfrid Payton out of the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, which normally is not a feeder school for the NBA. He didn't get the same level of exposure that some of his contemporaries got, but his size and athleticism at the point guard spot is really hard to ignore. He's one of the real sleepers in this year's draft, and as I like to say, it doesn't make any difference where you play. If you have game, it will travel.
Oladipo against Miller. Oladipo misses.
Pretty good defense there. I mean, that's a shot that he can make, but they really challenged him.
Shot denied. It's Oladipo on the wing. Fires from 14, and he gets the bucket. Oladipo's got his first 2 points. And Payton shot up draft boards, ended up going number 10. The Magic hoping he's their starting point guard for the future.
Love what this guy brings to the table. I know he was unheralded and not highly visible coming out of Louisiana Lafayette, but this guy can dribble and pass. Really good ability to defend, excellent athleticism. This guy will be in the running for Rookie of the Year.
Beautiful work in the transition game.
That's how to do it. Attack early before the defense can get itself set.
Give a hand, fans, your Magic Dancers.
Clippers leading by 8. Paul kicks to Griffin. Kicks it out to Paul. Miller outside. And it's off from three-point range.
Well, after knocking down 3 3-pointers last quarter, he's starting to lose the range a little bit.
Now, here's Oladipo. Celtics coming off a 25-point game against the Pistons in Detroit. And it's Vucevic missing.